So I'm going to start down here at the very tip of where that fabric starts to separate out. And I want to make sure that I'm actually going down just a little bit into that space where it's already sewed together, where it's already part of the fabric, just to make sure I don't get a hole right there. If you're too close to the end, you might end up getting a hole. Again, I'm going to pull this most of the way through, but not all the way through. Here are my knots right here. I want to leave some space on this side again. Go back through pretty close to the last stitch that I made. And when I come through this time, wherever there's a loop, I want to go in between into that loop so that I create my lock stitch. So I make sure that this is not going to come undone. Otherwise it's going to unravel and then you get all kinds of issues. So now I'm locked in, feeling good. I'm going to trim off a little bit of this excess string. There we go. And now I'm going to start my stitching. Every once in a while as you're doing this, make sure you flip it over and that you haven't started to miss one of the pieces of fabric. I've done that before, and you have to go back and re-sew that section. So it's good just to double check everything looks good on the other side. Okay, as we start to get into this corner with the thumb, we have to be a little more careful. It's easy to stitch these two sides together and then you don't have a thumb, right? You want to make sure you're staying away from this side of the fabric. And this is also a high stress point. This corner right here you're going to have a lot of stress. Every time you move your thumb around, you're putting tension and wear on that. So I like to try to shorten up my stitches in these areas, especially right along the bottom here. I might even double stitch some of this stuff, and I'll show you how we do that as we go through. So I'm going to pull back that thumb a little bit, make sure I don't sew into it. Oh, I got a big mess right there. All right, so sometimes this happens. Sometimes you can just grab the little knot before you pull too much on it. Sometimes you can just grab it out and just yank on it and get that to come back out again. Got a little loose thread there. There we go. And now I'm making this corner, and I don't want to make it too tight, right? I want to keep that seam going about 1/4 of an inch or 4 or 5 millimeters away from the edge here. And if you want to be really strong about it, especially down here in that corner, you can do something called a back stitch. So here's my last stitch, here's the one before that, I'm going to come in between those two and do a stitch here. And you have to do these one at a time. And it slows the process down, but it makes a much stronger corner. Doubling the number of stitches in that corner. Certainly do not have to do that for this prototype that you're making, but it's especially when you make your final version of it, I really like to do that. The one that I intend to wear, then I like to reinforce that little corner down there, because that sucker is the place that it'll always blow out. All right, now that I've made that corner turn, I can go back to my regular style of stitching. You could do your whole glove that way. You really could, but it's gonna take you a long time. So that's all right. It's just, you gotta be aware that it can take you a long time to do that, but it would be a stronger glove that way. All right, now we're at the end here, right? We're getting close, and so I am gonna wanna finish it off, and I wanna make sure that I've got a nice strong finish. Again, this is one of those stress points. Every time you put your glove on and off, you're gonna be stressing that little seam there. So ideally, you're gonna kind of do that back stitch again, where you come back between the last couple of stitches, and you stitch those up double. Do that for the last few. I'm gonna do one more. And there we go. Now, we wanna tie this off. And probably the easiest way to do that is to take a little fold of the material at the very, very end. This is the last stitch that comes out. And I'm just gonna go basically through that stitch and a little bit of material to give it some extra strength. Create a little loop here. Before I pull all the way through, I'm gonna go through that loop and pull it tight. And what I did there is I just created a little knot, just a little overhand knot. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna try to grab that knot if I can, go through here, tighten up. Now I've got a little bit of a knot, and you could even do it 3 times if you want to really get a nice, tight, strong knot here at the end. And then you are done, you are finished up. Schwapow. Look at that. All right, so I got my gloves. I got 2 of them. I went ahead and sewed up 2 of them. And now I want to turn them right side out. So right now they're inside out. So when I turn them right side out, thumb's a little tricky. Keep working on it. All right, there's my glove. And there's a little bit of extra material here to come out, but there is my glove. All right, everybody, good luck. I hope that your mittens come out nicely, and ask for help. We'll get through this together. Again, these are just prototypes. They're just for practice, so we're not worried too much. But I'll tell you what, they aren't nothing. This is gonna keep your hands warmer than bare skin out there. So even if it's made out of cotton and it's just really thin, you got something to keep your hands just a little bit warmer there. So go practice, try it out, and then when you're ready, let's go going on some warm mittens. Decrease that thermal energy transfer, huh? See ya.